Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we're back.
You know, last night, of course, it was our cigar night. Joe
Right.
was out there. We ended up with Bobby Bryant came in and Anthony Ford, a fellow realtors, and we got into a discussion about branding.
Right.
And so I think Joe wanted to throw it out there to both of you, Randall and Sam, what about branding? What does it mean in the marketplace? How do you brand? What does brand look like for you?
Well, I think you can take brand and put it hand in hand with recognition. What does the consumer think when they see your brand? Your brand could be your company brand. It could be Remax, Intero, any of the brands out there. Or it could also be Randall Martin. Sam Ferreri is a brand. Your name becomes your brand in this business, whether it's your company or whatnot. But I think that the agents want to feel that they're backed by a solid. That they want to feel that their company stands for something and stands on values. So I think it is important to affiliate with a brand that you believe in.
Yeah, I think there's a value proposition or a perception of a value proposition for going with that brand because people still buy Mercedes and Porsches and things like that because there's a perceived brand value in that. It's prestigious. It's finely tuned machinery.
People make it their goal to purchase. It's some people like us put it on their business plan for 2014.
Well, you might want to do it for 2015.
Well, that's right too.
Anyway, because first time I actually showed one of your properties probably 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, Sam, and it was Pearland Sam, and you had your picture on the sign, and so he had a great branding. I could picture him everywhere I went.
Right, with the Pearland Sam.
With the Pearland Sam. So, I mean, you did a great job with branding out there.
Yes, well, and what Randall was saying is absolutely true, but except that you need two brands. You do need a company brand, and you need your own personal brand. There's no doubt about it. Both will help you. If you're an individual agent working on let's say you're one of these who branches off and goes on your own, yes, I've been reading a lot of interesting data about that it's all about your ability to give the consumer what they want and all those things. And that is a very important concept. However, the branding creates an attraction that will add business to your database that you wouldn't get otherwise.
Open a door that you may not have had open for you.
When you go on an appointment to meet with somebody, half the deal is your company and the other half is you. So you better have those two working together.
An author, Seth Godin, wrote a book called Small is the New Big. And he talks about that most branding is a dialogue. Most agents, they want to tell their consumers what they want to tell them, not necessarily what the consumer wants to hear. So they talk about that branding from a lot of standpoints, from a static standpoint, is a monologue, and it really should be a dialogue. You have to engage consumers.
It's something that, and this is with both of you guys to speak on. It's when you have an individual, as you just mentioned, Sam, an individual who goes out there on their own. It's easy for them to have the idea that they are the brand, right? That's not true. They represent the brand, which is their idea of how they want to create a value to the market. And the proof of this is at the first person you hire, if you hired a minimum wage person to answer the phone while you were out, they are part of your brand. They represent your brand, and they aren't you. So how do you convey to them what it is that you are about, that you want the community to perceive of who you are as a brand?
That's what we call a DOFI, which is the Department of First Impressions.
That's right. Absolutely.
Well,
they're the first. You see.
Yeah,
you have a team. So
yes, you have to have clearly defined mission, vision, values, and beliefs that are instilled among your team members, your staff, everybody that works with you, as well as everything you do is related to your mission, vision, values, and beliefs that you do with the consumer, so that your consumers start to buy into your own mission, vision, values, and belief system.
Yeah, and plus I think you have to have a lot of integrity about that mission and things like that, is that people recognize disingenuine people. Yeah, I'm going to be the best person for you and all that, but when they engage them, it's like you can clearly see that they're out for themselves and not out for the consumer. So I think people pick up on that pretty quickly.
Well, I think you have to be honest. I think in any engagement you ever do,
honesty. Who would have thought?
You have to be honest in who you are, right? Because I know some people, in the real estate community and just in general, that are very nice people, but the way they present themselves are completely opposite, or they're not really nice people, and the way they present themselves are completely opposite, right? So, and the common consumer out there can see through things nowadays.
Yes, that's my biggest complaint about everybody, whether they're a realtor or anything else, is it's my number one value in my system is integrity. And the way I define that is you do what you say you'll do.
Right.
So don't go out there and promise you're going to do all these things for somebody, and then you don't do it. You
get the business and don't do it. Exactly.
Right.
That's right.
Which
that
gives
is a giant,
actually they broad brush the entire industry by doing that. That's why it's an issue for me.
that wears me out.
Yeah, 'cause you have to explain that why you're different.
Well, one of the kind of the points I was getting at with the brand, once you get beyond yourself and you have to hire somebody else, these are the things that we're talking about, that y'all just are touching on here, is the inconsistency between what the brand is saying and what the employee or the individuals inside the company are delivering. And a great example of that was Herb Callagher, for the CEO from Southwest Airlines, had this brilliant statement. They were like, the person interviewing them said, everybody at Southwest Airlines always smiles. How do you get all of your employees always to be smiling? What do you do to do that? And he looked at him kind of weird, and he said, I only hire people that smile. Yeah. It's like, like during the interview process, that's all we're looking for is people who come in smiling. Because if I hire you frowning and have to train you to smile, it ain't going to work. It's not going to be consistent with the brand.
I always tell people, I don't want to have to motivate people. I want to motivate with people I can direct. And so you can't instill smile and you can't instill motivation. You get people who are that, and then you can mold them and evolve them into a great professional. It's pretty simple.
So when you hire people with, Intero, when you bring an agent in with Intero, Intero has to know who Intero is in order to communicate that to the realtor so that realtor is consistent with the brand.
Well, we want to make sure that it preserves the culture of the office. I mean, we've built a culture, and I believe it's important to, if you want your company to go a certain way, you want your brand to be a certain way, it starts at the top and trickles down. Our CEO in California, Tom Tognoli, he goes on and on. Every blog he writes, he talks about the F5, and that's your faith, family, friends, fitness, and finance. If you're taking care of your F5, I did
well with 4 of those. That was that fitness thing that threw me off.
But you know what? If you take care of your F5, you're complete. If you're not happy with yourself, if you're not whole, you're not gonna do your company any justice. How can you work if you're not at your top? How can you be at your peak performance?
I love that.
That's why
your F5 again is what?
With Intero.
It is F5. Faith, family, friends,
pay for that one.
fitness, and finance.
That's awesome, by the way, because you're absolutely right. I mean, if you look at some of those things, in life in general, by the way, finance is one of the biggest factors of making or breaking business, people, relationships, etc. Who you associate with from your friend's perspective is because that is your influencing factor. That's your influencing sphere. Your faith. You talk about ethics that Sam was saying right there. That's where it comes from. If you're strong in your faith and your belief system, that trickles down. That has that trickle down effect. So I like that.
You can't, from a branding standpoint, it always cracks me up when companies run around and they try to say the thing that differentiates them, that we're honest and we have integrity. Okay, so you just called everybody else liars and thieves. Right? I like that should be an assumed, right? That should be an assumed. But it has to be consistent internally, and you have to act on that and deliver that message. We have our little saying in our company is find, share, inspire. Our mission is to find the things that work, share the things that we find, and do it in a way that causes people to be inspired to action. And so everything in our company, we want to be better at what we do, so we're constantly looking for finding things that work on helping people improve their credit. And when we find those things, we share them with our customers, and we try to do it in a way that inspires them to act on it. That's our mission, period. All the time, everything we're doing, that's what we're about. Inspire. And so it's on the back of my business card, and it's little subtle places. It's everywhere.
Nice.
And so that's our brand, and we hire people, and that's in the message when we're talking to them. This is what we're about. We do it in the community. We volunteer. Why? Because volunteering works. We find that it accomplishes the following, that kind of stuff. So that's how we communicate our brand. And I think there's definitely companies that in the real estate world that do a good job of communicating their brand and what their brand is about to their other to realtors that join them. And there's brands that I think don't do as well.
Before we run out of time, because we're going to run out of time pretty soon.
We are. That is correct.
One of the things we talked about this morning, Randall and Sam, is that, what do you see for 2015? You can talk about the Pearland area. You can just talk about the Houston area overall. What do you feel about that? We got a new year.
A new year. I mean, I know everybody's got their eyes on what's going to happen in the oil with the oil industry and whatnot. But aside from that, it's a year to just really come out and blow the socks off the consumer. Pearland's going to grow. Houston's still growing everything.
Yes.
So.
Let's start a stock business.
Yeah. But I mean, the city's going to continue to expand. There's lots of things coming. 288 is going to start expanding. I mean, the communities are coming in. Manville's going to take off. We positioned our office down there for a reason. And I see growth, but it's the year of wowing the consumer.
Speaking of that, we're down to the last minute.
Right. How
we
can
want to know how people
how
can reach you. Yeah.
How can we reach you?
You can reach me at 281-924-3990 or Randall at interohouston.com. That's INTERO.
Sam, your thoughts real quickly.
Well, my thoughts are that it's going to be a pretty nice growth year for the real estate market. We're going to see some cool things happening, and the 288, there's going to be a toll road built down the middle of it coming. That's pretty soon. It's going to start right in front of my building with the connection of 288 to the Beltway. That's
awesome.
going to be just awesome.
Well, when they're parked and they're stuck in traffic, you go by there. Hey, you want to buy a house?
Yeah, that's right. That's well, we've got a giant billboard to attract that, so we're going to have to add more parking right now. That's what we're looking at in this year.
Well, how can we reach you, Sam?
You can find me online at toprealtyuniversity.com or samf@remax.net.
Time flies when you're having fun. Today's quote is no different. It's from Winston Churchill. It says, "Success is the ability to go from one failure to another with no loss of enthusiasm." That's always really good.
He experienced that, didn't he?
Very, very appropriate, by the way, because in real estate sometimes we do have some ups, we do have some downs, but at the end of the day, if you stay enthusiastic about it, you can be extremely successful. As we always say, time flies when you're having fun. We are done with this segment and this show today. Till next time, we are out.
And you've been listening to the Real Estate Rat Pack. The question is, who's Frank, who's Sammy, who's Dean, and who's the other guy?
Chris is Frank,
I'm
he's
Dean.
and I'm Sammy.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So tune in to the really big show every Saturday at 9 a.m. right here on 100.7 The Word, KKHT.